Good morning. This is the 58th video in this series. I'll make it a playlist called State of the School, and my overarching subject is travel. But you know, I want to say that if you looked at the link that I gave in the description to the last one, you've got some idea of what you're going to be able to see as I go on. I'm going to be able to take you there. So really, you can have somewhat the feeling of walking along the Bist du Roi. Now, that video was made fairly recently, and this was some 20 years before, and it was not nearly as improved as it is now. But you can see it was very dangerous. But anyway, what I want to talk about today is this travel. You know, I traveled for education. EF tours, EF educational tours with the children, and with my students. And I personally, my purpose was to learn. I should also point out that travel, that word is related to travail, which means work. Travel originally was, well, I think it still is. It's difficult. It's hard. Now, tourism is different. Tourism does everything to make it safe and easy. I was never really a tourist with all this travel. I was a traveler. I mean, I wanted to learn. And one of the principal things I studied, was architecture. Not the grand architecture of the Eiffel Tower. I mean, not sure, but houses, domestic architecture. How did people build their houses and their barns and their outbuildings on their land? All kinds of details, as you're going to see in the clips that are coming your way that I'll tell you about. And after that first trip with Jane, my wife, to Europe, when I came back, I had seen Swiss houses. I'd seen them before on my trip with Joyce through the Alps, and was greatly affected by the train ride approaching, between Munich and between Zurich and Innsbruck, that train ride. But everywhere, I saw those Swiss houses, and I saw the way they were built, and it affected me. When I came back, over the years, we added on to this house. It was a 25-foot or 24-foot maybe square Sears house, the kind you bought in a catalog, believe it or not, back in the 1950s. You could buy it in a catalog. It would be shipped here in a Sears Roebuck catalog. There were lots of Sears houses built all over the place. Well, it was small. We eventually had 2 children. I added on to it. I put an upstairs on it. I put an addition out here, which is almost as big as the house itself. So in a sense, I almost doubled the size of it because the house was small. I put a porch on it, and I was especially influenced by Swiss architecture. As a matter of fact, this porch, when we put it, now see, I used lumber I had. I didn't worry about code. I was a carpenter. I was going to build safely anyway, and code didn't apply back then anyway. And with an addition, if no bank was involved and no insurance was involved, you didn't have to worry about code. And to some extent, I think that's still true, believe it or not, here. So I built with what I had. I mean, all of this construction involves lumber that my father-in-law had laying about his place, parts of barns that I tore down. There's probably parts of at least 3 barns in this house, 3 silos for siding. Brick from the cherry tree house chimneys that I brought over here when I brought the house my mother was born in and her great-grandfather had built in Cherry Tree, Pennsylvania. When I took it down, that was back in about '84, and brought it in 4 truckloads, lumber truckloads here, and set it back up here. Well, there were 4 chimneys. I put 1 back, add all that brick. That's where I got a lot of that brick. And the house ended up, I haven't heard people say that, but I heard that other people say, oh yeah, people call that the Swiss house because of the way it looks with its overshot cantilevers and not being painted, and the natural wood, and it has the nickname of the Swiss house. So you're going to see a lot of that. My point here is that in all this travel, I traveled to learn. And what I probably learned most about was building.